Hello and welcome back to your final lesson of Module 3 in your professional diploma in digital marketing and SEO. Today we are going to be creating our campaign within the Google Ads interface. And then finally, I'm going to take you through a campaign checklist, which, as I mentioned in the last lesson, will be emailed through to you. But if for some reason you don't receive it, please email marketing@shoreacademy.com and I'll send that off to you as soon as possible. So let us get into it. So let's get to it, shall we? I have logged into my Google Ads account and I'm on the campaigns section of the account that I've created. I'm going to select new campaign, and again, you can either create a campaign with a goal in mind like this. As you can see, depending on the goal you choose, different campaign types and then settings become available to you. I'm actually just going to scroll down and say create a campaign without a goals guidance, but either way is fine. Then it comes time to choosing the campaign type. I'm selecting search and then website visits. This is looking very similar to the Facebook setup, if you'll remember from lesson 5. Let's put the website in here. It doesn't have to be the campaign URL. It's literally just the as it states, the business's website. So I'm going to put the home page. And continue. Then we need to name our campaign. So I'm just going to go over here into this Excel and copy that campaign name. Paste that in. Then here, when it comes to networks, some accounts choose to exclude the Google search partners as well as the display network when running just a search campaign. So preferring to keep it traditionally just the search network. There are reasons for and against it. It depends on the situation. In this case, I'm actually going to leave them both activated just because it's a new account. Display could bring in some nice awareness and some cheap traffic, and we don't yet know how it's going to perform. And at least in this way, we can build up our audiences and at least our data perhaps relatively more quickly. And always, if it's going to spend too much or it's not performing, then we can exclude it later on. The reason why I'm talking about this so much, though, is because the display network is not based on people searching for something. So it's not keyword based. It would be interest, affinity, all those different behaviors, those psychographics and demographics. So that's why it can be a bit risky when you're actually just wanting to run a pure search campaign. But like I said, we're going to keep it running. You can include it or exclude it. It's up to you. But moving on. There are going to be more settings that we can add during this process, but I am going to be skipping a few just because I prefer to add it in another way. As you will come to learn when you're working in this platform, there are many different ways to add things. So it really is just the way that you learn to use it, the way that you prefer to use it, and that will come over time, with using it more. Let's scroll down to locations. So we are targeting the United States. For now, I'm just going to put the United States in here. I know we're going to segment it down further into the 50 different states, but for the moment, let's just add United States. There we go. 267 million people. Then the location options, these are advanced location options. It's set here to target people in or who show interest in your targeted locations. It is the recommended setting. I generally turn it to people in or regularly in your targeted locations, so excluding people who show interest in. This might be a good setting for brand, for example, because anyone who's searching your brand, no matter where they are, you might want them to be able to find you. But in this case, where we're just really wanting to target people in the United States, would keep it to the middle setting. The exclude is when we're going to be excluding certain locations, which we're not going to do at this point, but the option is here, and then excluding people in your excluded locations. Leave it at that. English is already the targeted language, so no need to change anything there. The audiences, I'm going to be adding somewhere else, so we'll just skip that for now. Then we move down to our budget. Now, the calculation, or the generally accepted calculation when it comes to doing the daily budget within a Google Ads campaign, is to divide your monthly budget by 30.4, just because of the fact that some days it overspends and some days it underspends, as we discussed in the last lesson. We want to make sure that then it doesn't spend more than the total budget. And so as I said, the generally accepted, what seems to work or what does work, the calculation is to divide that by 30.4. So if we just move over to Excel for our calculator, so the monthly budget is 8,000, and we will divide that by 30.4. So our total, or rather our daily budget, is $263.20, or rather let's just, okay, so $263.16. So that's what we will put in here, 263.16. Now, if we don't make changes to this budget, as in we don't change the daily budget at any point during the month, then it will not spend more than our budget of $8,000. If we do need to make changes, let's say over a weekend, performance is not looking great, so we need to give it a boost, we want to increase spend by 100% over a weekend, then we would need to change the daily budget, which would of course affect, the overall month in terms of what we could and couldn't do. But if we left it like this, then you've got no worries in terms of it overspending. It can still underspend, definitely. That depends on your keywords and your bids and all of that, but it won't overspend. If we scroll down, we get to the bidding section. Now, by default, it's actually set to the maximize conversions bid strategy, but we did speak about that in the last lesson and my concerns over it for a brand new campaign. And I said in this campaign info that we're actually going to be selecting enhanced CPC. Now, I do also need to say, to protect myself a little bit perhaps, that maybe for some accounts it will work to use maximize conversions, right from the get-go. But just as an overall blanket statement, I wouldn't say that it is the best and therefore have recommended others. But anyways, moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and select a bid strategy directly, even though it is not recommended. Then in the drop down, we first go to select manual CPC, and then you'll see here, help increase conversions with enhanced CPC. So I've got that selected. Then we're going to ignore the extensions for the moment, save and continue. Now we get to our first ad group. So it's time to go back over to the document with the ad group names and all the keywords. Let's start with build couch broad match modifier. So what I would start doing, or what I will start to do, is to create all the broad match modifier ad groups first. So we'd go through the whole process of adding the keywords and the match types and the negatives and etc., including the ads, and then we will duplicate that for the exact ad group. So if we just start with BMM, copy that ad group name, again, copy pasting to make sure there aren't any errors. The default bid can be changed at any time. So for now, I'm just going to set it to $1. Then we need to add our keywords. So back over to our document to copy the keywords for this ad group and paste that over. Now these keywords are going to be broad match modifier keywords, which means they need a plus sign before each word. We could go in now and add them each manually, but there's actually another way to do it, which is faster. So I'll show that to you. So for now, we'll just leave the keywords like this. It's important to remember to do this process of adding the pluses afterwards. But yes, let's move down. Then we add our next ad group, which is build sofa. Paste that in, default bid again, $1, the keywords. So I'm not going to take you through all 21 of these broad batch modifier ad groups. We'll just add another one after this and then move on. But you would do this process for as many broad match modifier or one match type ad groups you have in your campaign. Scroll down and another ad group, custom build couch, BMM. $1 again. Copy over the keywords. It's quite straightforward. Okay, so I have added all my ad groups and I'm now going to save and continue and start creating these ads. I'm just going to add one ad in this section of Google Ads. There are other ways to add ads, as I said before. So we're back up to the build couch broad match modifier ad group. So if we move over to our first text ad, and the top is build couch. So our first headline, copy that over, build your own couch online. We'll change the URL just now. Let me scroll down a bit. The second headline, and I've just realized that I made an error in the last lesson. I'm very sorry, guys. I had said that there was a third description option in the text ad, but it's actually the headline, and that's what doesn't always appear. Please forgive me. I had said that I wouldn't be including a third description due to the fact that it rarely does appear, at least for now. So let's just change that to the headline. So there'll be no headline 3. Let's scroll down to the descriptions, move across, copy the first one. That is the thing to remember when you're copy pasting, is that sometimes there are extra spaces added. So just make sure you remove those. Let's get the second description, copy that over. See, did that again. I think it's because it's Excel. Then instead of saying done and create next ad, we scroll down to the next ad group and add that text. Build your own sofa online. Quality sustainable materials. I forgot to add the URL in the first ad, so let's just go back and do that. Copy the URL. It has the UTMs already embedded. There we go. Do the same up here. And let's scroll down and just update that one as well. There we go. Okay, so we need to finish this build sofa ad. Go down to the descriptions again. Let's see where we are. I would remove these length columns just to make it easier. There we go, remove the spaces. You can add paths here if you want to. So it's a display path, so it's literally only just what the URL looks like in the ad, not what it actually is. As long as it's closely linked, there shouldn't be a problem. So we could add, for example, sofa design here. So instead of the URL just reflecting as customcomfort.com, it would reflect as customcomfort.com/sofa/design, but we didn't put that in the stock, so we'll skip that for now, but just so you know. Then finally, custom build couch. Get the ad copy here, custom built couches. Quality sustainable materials. not the headline, the description. And get the second description. Perfect. Then at the bottom we can save and continue. It's looking a bit strange because of the split screen. Let's just maximize that for a second. There we go. Continue to campaign. And there we have it. Now I've just paused this campaign because I don't want it to run. You do that by selecting the drop down arrow on the left, and then there's either enable or pause. We're not nearly done with this campaign. We need to go to our ad groups and add additional ads into that. So let's go and do that first. We first select the campaign. I've split screen this again so that we can get to our ads for our ad groups. Let's just go into one of them. So build couch, click on the ad group. It leads you to the keywords. You then navigate to the ads and extensions. And here's the ad that we created in that first process. We need to go and add our second text ad now. So if we scroll over on the Excel, we've got text ad B, and this is the one where we use keyword insertion in the first headline. So back over to Google Ads and click the plus sign and text ad. It's populated with what we added before, so we're going to replace most of this. Obviously the URL stays the same, so that's there already. Now we put the first headline in, and this is again a different keyword to what the first text ad has, trying to keep an eye on, or rather improve on, that quality score over time. The second headline, then we've got our descriptions, which again are different to the first ad. Remove the spaces. If you're using Excel, it clearly does this all the time. Scroll down, save the ad. Then what we can do, instead of having to go to the next ad group and create the same ad or text ad B in that ad group, we can actually do something else. So if we just check the difference in the text ads between the two ad groups, the difference in the headline is that there's couch and sofa. And then if we scroll across to the descriptions, then there is couch and sofa here as well. Going back to this ad, we can just select it, check this box on the left, and then under the edit drop down, we can say copy. Gives confirmation at the bottom that it has been copied. We can then go back to our campaign and our ad groups, go into our build sofa ad group. It's gone to the keywords tab, so we'll go to the ads tab. Then you can see here next to this filter there is a little paste button, so we select that. I'm not going to pause new ads after pasting or any of these, so we just go ahead and paste. Right, then we can select this ad that we've just pasted in, edit, and say change ads. Then make changes to the expanded text ads. That's what these are. You can find and replace. Then we're going to find the text couch in the first headline and replace it with sofa. Preserve the original ad's capitalization. If we wanted 2 copies of the ad, then we could select it here, but we don't. We want to just change the existing ad, so we apply that. The find and replace tool is very useful when you have a few ads within an ad group that you need to change, just a certain word. But if you're just changing one ad at a time, then another way is just to click on the pencil icon next to the ad, select edit, and then for the descriptions, we just replace the couch with sofa. Description 1 and 2. And that was it. Save ad. Then we won't have time for this now, but to go ahead and add your responsive ads as well as the call only ads, you would go to the plus sign and then select first the responsive search ad, complete all the information as we've just done with the text ad, and then of course do the same with the call only ad. So we've put all of our ads into the existing ad groups that we have. We still haven't changed the keywords to the broad match modifier match type, but I'm not going to do that yet because I first want to duplicate these ad groups. So if we go back to the ad group section, the reason why I want to duplicate them first is so that we can very easily change the match types of those keywords from broad to exact. If an exact match keyword has a plus sign in it, it's not the same thing. It won't work. And then, of course, if we've already changed the broad match modifier keywords to that, then it's just additional work having to remove them from the exact match ad groups, if that makes sense. So we can select all of our ad groups at the top here, go to edit, and then to copy. Then we exit out of that, and we see the paste button. We're not going to pause them. The entire campaign is paused at the moment, so that's not a problem. Paste it in. Great. So now we have duplicated these ad groups, which has copied everything within it. So all of the keywords and the ads. I'm actually going to make this one screen now, so we can focus on this. Dismiss that. So find and replace doesn't work on ad group level, so we do need to go and change these to exact so that we can tell the difference, and before we change the match types. Okay, save. Now what we need to do is we need to make the keywords that are sitting in these ad groups exact match, and these ad groups broad match modifier. So if we go to the keywords section, we can create a filter so that we only see the keywords from certain ad groups. So I'm going to create a filter that shows us just the keywords from all the exact ad groups. So if we type out here ad group, we can see ad group name contains exact. This is why it's very helpful to have naming conventions, or at least one of the reasons it's very helpful. So now we have all of our keywords from the exact ad group, but we can see that they are not in exact match. So we're going to select all our keywords, then go to the edit drop down, select change match types, and then change that from broad to exact match. That's perfect. So apply that change, and then you should see, yes. So all of the keywords now have these square brackets around them, meaning that they are the exact match type. That's exactly what we want. So if we go back, or at least close this, then we're going to say ad group name contains BMM. Apply. Now for this one, the change is a bit different just because there is no broad match modifier match type change within Google Ads. So what we do instead is we select all, drop down edit, change keyword text. We're going to first add to text. We want to add a plus before the existing text. So this is going to add a plus sign just at the beginning of the word. So now you can see there is just a plus on the first word of the keywords that we're targeting. So then we have to go edit again, change the keyword text, find and replace instead of adding to text. And the text that we're going to find is a space. So literally put a space. And what we're going to replace it with is a space and a plus sign. We don't need to select any of these boxes, so we just apply there. And now you can see that these keywords are all in broad match modifier. So, phew, the account won't go crazy with broad matches if it was running. So we have created our campaign, we've set our daily budget, we've added our ad groups with our keywords and our ads, we've changed the match types, and so now it is time to refine or add the other targeting. If we go back to the ads and extensions, this is where we would add our extensions that we've listed. I'm going to go ahead and split screen this again. If we get to our extensions in our Excel, that's here. We've got our callouts, site links, the price extension, and the structured snippet. I'm not going to add all of these as this is pretty straightforward, but let's just go ahead and add a callout. We're going to add it on campaign level, though you can add it on account or ad group level. But we're going to add it on campaign, so it's going to cover all of the ad groups within that campaign. Then if we scroll down, we copy over our callouts. You need to have at least 4 callouts in order for them to appear if you're at the above the organic results on the search engine results page, so in positions 1 to 4. We can add a callout text, delivery within 3 weeks, and 5-year guarantee. So once we've done that, we just save. It does take time to be approved. If we scroll to the right here, you can see it's under review. Sometimes it actually takes longer than the general ads to be approved, but it does get there eventually. I'll just show you the structured snippets quickly, as it does look a bit different. If we scroll down, see there is the lead form. It's still being tested. Where are we? Here, structured snippets. So you select your language for the structured snippet, and then the different categories that you can choose from are here. For this business, it would be styles, as we are showcasing the different styles of sofas that they have. And that is where those would be added. Now we can go ahead and add our devices or our bid adjustments for our devices. It has defaulted to campaign level, and that is what we want. We want to add a 100% bid adjustment to mobile, so we can do that here, increase by 100%. If we just move up to the ad schedule, just to show you, this is where you would schedule your ads if you didn't want them to run all the time. The default is that they do show all the time. You can also use a schedule so that you can increase your bids. Let's say, for example, on weekends, we want to increase our bids by 50%. Then we would add a schedule here, and then add a, just like we did with the devices, we would add a 50% bid adjustment. If we go up to locations, this is where we would see the United States. But now this is also where we can add locations. Now, instead of having to add each location individually, we can actually go and add the locations in bulk. If we select this, then we should see a box appear. Yep. If we go over to our locations, we can copy all of our different states in one go and paste those in. And it should search and find them. It has matched all of them, so that's great. I mean, it would. It is the United States. Perfect. Now we're targeting the United States as a country as well as all of the states within it. It's up to you whether you want to include or exclude it. you will still see volume coming from these different states. It's not only going to say from the United States if you do leave it in there. It's just, as I mentioned, from a performance perspective, it's great to include the states so that if in certain areas performance is looking better, conversion rate is higher, perhaps CPCs are lower, then you might want to spend more in that area, which you couldn't do if you were only targeting the United States, as a whole. You couldn't segment it further. I'm going to leave it in, so I'll just save this. And now you can see we have all of the different states here, and we can include a different bid adjustment based here. Now, we had also said that we're going to increase in Manhattan, but that's not a state. That's within New York. So let's go and actually then add Manhattan specifically. Manhattan, New York, United States. Let's target the bigger area. We can save that. And if we scroll down, it should be at the bottom. There we go. Then we can add a bid adjustment on here. I'm going to say 50%, bearing in mind that we also have the device bid adjustment of 100%. So just to put that in a bit of perspective, if we have this 50% bid adjustment for Manhattan, and then someone in Manhattan is searching and clicks on our ad from their mobile, then we would have technically bid 150% higher for that person. Now we can go ahead and add our audiences. So we'll just navigate to that within Google Ads. And then, as I mentioned, I just copied over that information from the campaign doc earlier. These are our audiences that we're targeting. So click on Add Audiences. We're adding it to the campaign as a whole. You can also add it on ad group level. And we aren't targeting these audiences only, as in excluding anyone else who doesn't fit within that audience. We're just adding these audiences on observation. So essentially just observing what these audiences do in the overall performance of the campaign. It doesn't narrow the reach of the campaign. So that's important to remember. When you have different remarketing campaigns and specific strategies for remarketing lists and that sort of thing, then it would be a targeting campaign. Then you're excluding anyone else who hasn't visited your site. Anyway, let's move on. If we go down to browse, then we see that we're looking for in-market audiences. So that's the third option here. If we go down, I think we'll see home and garden. There we go. Select the drop down. We've got home furnishings. It's very specific. And living room. So that's one of the audiences. Then we are also targeting real estate, moving and relocation, as well as residential properties. And then telecom, all of it, based on the assumption that perhaps people who are looking for these services are looking to move, as well as with the real estate targeting. Just see what that does. Then we go back and we need to find the affinity targeting. And here we're just selecting home and garden. Now we need to go ahead and add on negatives. Going to the keywords section and then navigating over to negative keywords. If we just find our list of negatives in our doc, here we go, then we can just select add negative keywords. So for these account level negatives, what I would actually definitely do is create a list. And although in this part we can only add it on campaign level, it's then just a list that would be added to every campaign. And then you can obviously go in and update that list when needed. So if we do that, so keeping this option as is, let's go to our Excel and just filter by the account level. These are the keywords that we're adding in. Copy those, paste them over. So at the bottom here, it says save to new or existing list. We can select that and then just say account level negatives. If you have the existing list in place and you're just adding more keywords, then you could select it from here. We just save that, and then we have created the account level list. Then we can go back again, and we're going to add the campaign level negatives. So choose those from the drop down. Here we go. Copy those, paste those. I'm not going to create a list for this just because these are just going to be added to this campaign. So I'm going to save that without selecting that box. And now they have been added to the campaign. Then when it comes to adding the ad group level negatives, that is a bit more time consuming when you're doing it through this platform, just because you have to go into each ad group. And that is why something like the Google Ads editor is a good tool to get the hang of, or to play around with. So to add negatives on ad group level, we need to navigate to the ad groups. I'm hoping at some point that they will enable us to create negative lists to be shared between ad groups. But for the moment, we do need to go into each one. So if we're on build couch, these are the exact match, so we don't need to worry about that. But build couch broad match modifier, we want to go into that, go over to negative keywords, add them here to the ad group, build couch, we're adding sofa as a negative. I've gone full screen again and I'm on the keywords section. There are different rules that can be created, or they have different effects depending on where what level you've created the rule. For example, if I was to do this rule on campaign level, the only thing that I could do would be to increase the budget during those weeks, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to increase my daily budget. I want to increase my bids. So to do that, I've gone to the keyword level. I'm going to select all of the keywords, go to edit, go to create an automated rule. The type of rule will be to change the keyword bids. I'm applying it to all the enabled keywords. If this was a campaign that I was going to be adding to, or I wasn't sure, maybe there were some keywords I didn't want to increase, then I would either choose keywords in selected campaigns if they were across different campaigns, or keywords in selected ad groups. So we'll just keep it here for now. The action isn't to set new bids, it's to increase the bids. And we're going to say increase by 50% with no upper bid limit, although you can put a limit. You can also create a condition here, which we're not going to go into in this lesson, but this is where you could say increase by 50% if my absolute top impression share is below 25%. Then to define the frequency to run the action, I've selected monthly. It's going to be from the 25th, or shall we say the 24th at midnight, using data from all time. This is not using data, it's just telling Google Ads to increase the bids by a certain percentage. It's not based on anything else. Email results only if there are errors or changes. The options are every time this rule runs, which is something that I probably would do for a rule like this. Then to call it something very obvious, so increase, it's a payday, increase bids 50%. And then save that rule. I'm then going to create another rule, create an automated rule. Again, change keyword bids all enabled keywords, and this time to decrease the bids by 50% monthly. Let's say the 7th at midnight. Every time this rule runs, then payday decrease bids 7th 50%. Now this rule will run every month until you have stopped it, so don't forget about it. I think that's another reason I like to select that I get an email every time, because then I definitely cannot forget. Of course, it doesn't also take into account any kind of adjustments you've done on your side through optimization or analysis. So it is something that it doesn't, just because you've decided to set something like that up, it doesn't mean you just keep it running just for the sake of it. Always monitor it, see what the improvement in performance is, and etc. Now we can actually see here, because I have let this campaign run for a little bit, that this keyword is low search volume, meaning that it doesn't have a high number of monthly searches. In some cases with keywords like this, you will still find a few impressions coming through, but most of the time not really. It doesn't do your account any harm to have a low search volume keyword in your account. But if you find that a lot of your keywords in a campaign are low search volume, then you should be removing those or pausing those and trying then to find additional keywords that do have volume. Let's scroll down and see there aren't any more. So all of the others are not low search volume. And that is that. You have your campaign, you have your ad groups, we've added negatives, keywords and match types, ads and extensions, locations, different bid adjustments. And it's really validating when you have built a campaign from scratch, you see performance coming in and it does well. It makes you feel really good. Of course, there are changes. It should be changed, especially in the beginning. You are guessing, but this is the first step, to getting it right. Please remember what I always say about digital marketing, how it is changing all the time. I was honestly thinking of Google Ads in particular when I first spoke about how much this field changes. In 1 year alone, they made over 1,000 changes. So when it comes time for you to create a campaign or just playing around within Google Ads, should you see something different to what I have just shown you, I won't be surprised. And please don't be either. You might see new extensions, metrics that have changed names, things that are in entirely different places. Who knows? Thanks, Google. Just be aware of it. The concept or the core idea shouldn't change, but other things around it might. That is the beauty or the curse of using all these different tools for digital marketing. This is a checklist that I have put together, which is quite handy to have before launching a campaign. The idea is to go through this list and check everything off, adding notes where needed. It looks a bit funny now just because I didn't want it to appear right on the left side of your screen. A huge congratulations for completing Module 3. Well done, guys. I will see you very soon for Module 4. Just one more to go in your professional diploma. Have a great week and I will see you soon. Bye.